Well, as the Trump trade war threatens to devastate both the American and global economies, we have breaking news from the man himself. You see, in response to Canada's declaration that they would impose their own retaliatory tariff against America for 25%, Trump just truthed or tweeted that if Canada does that, he will take his 25% tariff against Canada and increase it to a 50% tariff against Canada, which means that Americans will pay 50% more for every Canadian import. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. You can always count on Donald Trump to take a bad situation or to create a bad situation and inevitably make it worse because he's so mercurial, he's so capricious, he's so stupid. It's a dangerous combination, especially when, at least on paper, you're the most powerful man on earth. I just want to remind you what happened. So at 12:01 this morning, Trump's 25% import tax on all Mexican and Canadian imports into the United States went into effect. And then Canada responded with a 25% tariff on $20 billion of U.S. goods produced in Republican-controlled states. They're trying to target and pressure Trump's base and voters, punish them, so they in turn will punish Trump for attacking Canada. All right, as far as tariffs go, I think it's a pretty good strategy. Mexico, of course, has said that it will announce retaliatory tariffs of its own, but hasn't gone into detail. So that happened. And then Trump dropped this bomb. Quote, please explain to Governor Trudeau of Canada that when he puts a retaliatory tariff on the U.S., our reciprocal tariff will immediately increase by a like amount. So, first off, note that instead of addressing him as Prime Minister Trudeau, Trump continues to troll and taunt Trudeau by saying, you're going to be the governor of our 51st state because we're going to annex Canada. So he's saying, okay, I impose a 25% tariff on you. You, in turn, impose a 25% tariff on me. But if you do that, then I'm going to increase our tariff by a like amount, presumably by 25%, taking the 25% tariff against Canada to a 50% tariff against Canada. Now, could Trump be lying? Sure, he is an inveterate, pathological liar. Could he change his mind? Possibly. Could somebody dangle car keys in front of him and he would swat at it? Yes. But now that is Trump threatening to further escalate a devastating, painful, and unnecessary trade war that he started with our three biggest trading partners. Not good. Not good at all. And there's no telling where it will go. This could be over tomorrow, or in a month, or in a year. Who the hell knows? But I also want to draw attention to the Prime Minister. And actually, the response from some of Trump's most diehard defenders at the Fox Propaganda Network. So I played you in a previous video some clips of Prime Minister Trudeau announcing his 25% tariff against America. And we're going to look at one of those clips and some other clips we didn't look at. But I actually first want to lead with this. So after the Prime Minister gave his response, this is what MAGA Fox News host Sandra Smith had to say about Trudeau.
I don't know if anybody that watched that, as we all watched it live happen together, saw somebody who is approaching this discussion respectfully. I think we saw this with Zelensky in the Oval Office, and you watch that and you don't think that this is a guy who's coming in, in a strong way to debate and negotiate with President Trump.
No, I would say it is strong, perhaps too strong. Maybe that's what you feel, but he's pushing back on Trump. That is a strong position to take. He just hasn't bent the knee, and you want him to bend the knee because, of course, you're in a cult. But folks, the thing about that was so funny is these MAGA Fox News losers are like, yeah, so Trump can disrespect Canada, can disrespect Ukraine, can disrespect Trudeau and Zelensky, and really any other world leader. He can say whatever the hell he wants. He can insult them. He can refer to him as Governor Trudeau. He can call Zelensky a dictator. He can do all of these things, and that's okay as far as these MAGA Fox hosts are concerned. That disrespect is okay because it's Trump, and Trump can say whatever the hell he wants because people can't say whatever they want about Trump. Trump can disrespect with impunity, but don't you dare try to push back on him. It's pathetic. Now, if she was simply describing the reality, which is that Trump is a thin-skinned, malignant narcissist who can't handle pushback, can't handle any of his victims or would-be victims standing up for themselves and pushing back. Most bullies can't handle that. if she had said that that might jeopardize future negotiation, that would have been a fair observation to make. That's not what she made. She referred to Trudeau as disrespectful, suggesting that he should duck his head and submit to Donald Trump. She clearly believes Zelensky should as well, right? You understand the difference between the potential neutral observation and the observation she actually made? It's pretty pathetic. I do want to play, I played this clip in a previous video, but it's worth repeating because it is bold language from, the leader of a country which is unfailingly polite. Canadians have a mimetic politeness associated with them, and Trudeau's a pretty chill guy, especially for somebody who has been quite unpopular and has actually announced his own resignation. So again, as a reminder, this is what Justin Trudeau says to Donald Trump, and I wish more leaders would take this posture.
Now I want to speak directly to one specific American. Donald. In the over 8 years you and I have worked together, we've done big things. We signed a historic deal that has created record jobs and growth in both of our countries. We've done big things together on the world stage, as Canada and the US have done together for decades, for generations. And now we should be working together to ensure even greater prosperity for North Americans in a very uncertain and challenging world. Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do. We two friends fighting is exactly what our opponents around the world want.
So again, in a roundabout way, calling Donald Trump pretty stupid, or at least saying that he's doing a stupid thing, and calling him Donald. Reportedly, Trump hates to be referred to by his first name. He wants to be Mr. Trump, President Trump. And I'll also point out here on this channel, we don't refer to Donald Trump by his title. He is my one exception. Presidents that I dislike, like Bush or Reagan, I will refer to as President Reagan and President Bush. I have respect for the office in the abstract, pretty much regardless of who occupies it. But Donald Trump is an authoritarian, malignant narcissist and insurrectionist, and so I refuse to show him that sort of respect, especially when he frequently disrespects others in ways we've just never seen before. So yeah, again, pretty bold language from Trudeau. Will it work? Could it backfire? It remains to be seen. Of course it could backfire. Of course it could only further, rouse Donald Trump's wrath. It could potentially hurt Canadians more. But weakness and submission only work with Trump for so long. So I think this is a good posture to take. That said, I want to play some other clips as well of Trudeau fact-checking Trump and humiliating him in a roundabout way.
I think in terms of what he wants, I heard he talked about banking again this morning in a tweet, which doesn't make any sense because American banks, there's about 16 American banks currently active in Canada holding about $113 billion worth of assets in this country. So the American banks are alive and well and prospering in Canada. It's an example of not really being able to see what it is that he wants, because even the excuse that he's giving for these Paris tariffs today of fentanyl is completely bogus.
It is completely bogus. Again, of the two borders that the United States has, the northern border, the southern border, fentanyl is coming overwhelmingly from the southern border. Now, even there's an asterisk, right? Because it's not undocumented immigrants ferrying this stuff over. More often than not, I think 80 or 85% of the fentanyl seized at the southern border comes from American citizens, number one. Number two, going through legal ports of entry. It's not undocumented migrants crossing the southern border in between legal ports of entry. And that's Mexico. Canada and Canada's importation of fentanyl into the United States is a virtual blip. It's non-existent. Canada and the United States have worked very well to reduce that basically to a halt. It's just, he's right on this fact check. And again, I appreciate him also fact checking Trump's very stupid, obvious, dishonest claim about Canadian and American banks. Here's one more clip.
Does the Canadian government believe these tariffs from Donald Trump is an act of war from the U.S.?
Canadians are not angry at the American people for this. We don't have anything against Americans. Americans are our neighbors, our friends, our partners. We do things together. We've done things together for decades and generations. This is a policy decision by the American government designed to go after the Canadian economy. This is a trade war, yes. But Canadians, yeah, Canadians are hurt. Canadians are angry. We're going to choose to not go on vacation in Florida or Old Orchard Beach or wherever. We're going to choose to try to buy Canadian products and forego bourbon and other classic American products. And yeah, we're probably going to keep booing the American anthem. But let me tell Americans, we're not booing you. We're not booing your teams. We're not booing your players. We're booing a policy that is designed to hurt us. And we're insulted. And we're angry. But we're Canadian, which means we're going to stand up for each other. We're going to fight. And we're going to win.
Will he win? I don't know. Seems unlikely in the sense, the damage to the Canadian economy will likely be more severe than the damage to the American economy, just given the disparate scales. But I think that Canadians should still do this as a matter of policy, just because, again, you don't win this way with Trump. Trump extorts his allies. And if you don't draw a line in the sand, he's just going to keep pushing and 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 pushing. And by the way, here's the other thing. Thought about this too. If Canada, Mexico, China, and other trading partners, obviously China is overall an adversary of the United States, but if our trading partners and our allies don't stand up for themselves eventually, what this will also do, potentially, is train Democratic presidential candidates to believe, well, what the hell's the point of establishing meaningful friendships and diplomatic and trading relationships if instead everybody's just going to roll over for Donald Trump and also help give him the impression and give others the impression that he's strong? What's the point of engaging in diplomacy? The thing about diplomacy is it's a hell of a lot harder than what Trump's doing. What Trump is doing is lazy and reckless. You just tweet this shit out like, yeah, 25% tariff, make it happen. Building and maintaining those relationships, even during difficult times, it's infinitely harder. If Trudeau and Sheinbaum and Xi Jinping and, again, our trading partners and our allies, Starmer in the United Kingdom, if they simply roll over for Trump every time he raises his voice, you will train a Democratic politician in the future to say, well, then I'm just going to do the same thing because it takes less time, it's less complicated, and it will also politically reward me by projecting the impression that I'm strong and I can just bully you around. Unfortunately, there are a lot of Americans out there who like the idea of America flexing on our enemies and just being able to get quick results. So I will say to any ally potentially watching this, please be sure to like and subscribe. At a certain point, you do have to stand up to Trump and show Trump that doing things differently from Biden or Obama or Clinton will carry consequences, and it's important, and it's meaningfully important, and it will result in material benefit for both of us if you actually do the diplomatic approach as opposed to the stick, as opposed to the tariff and the trade war. So I think for many reasons, our allies and our trading partners have a vested interest in eventually standing up to Trump and not backing down. Well, is this one of those moments? Will they back down? I don't know, but we'll see. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.